So it appears Chris and Sarah are both on different wavelengths when it comes to certain things on their travels so far in Scotland. They have the same opinion, yet this wrong opinion on both. It's so funny. My God. So, somebody commented this on one of their videos. They said the NC 500 tourism is unfortunately destroying the Highlands for the residents. My relatives were kicked out of their home of 15 years because of the demand for Airbnbs for tourists, not to mention the traffic and disrespect for the environment. So absolutely, there are local concerns for tourism, right? But there could be a flip side to it, and Chris has found the exact flip side to, put a positive spin on their particular trip to the Highlands to make it all okay in their heads, right? He says, on the flip side though, the tourism also creates thousands of jobs and prosperity for locals and small towns too. Yes, there are unfortunately some bad people that ruin it for others by disrespecting the environment, etc., but it balances out both ways. So actually I can see what he's saying there. To be fair, it's not much good for the locals if they're being kicked out of the house, right? And they are local and they're being put out. And I think if you lived there, you'd have a different viewpoint of it, but I can understand where Chris is coming from, that it's creating lots of jobs and things like that. However, Sarah, in her wisdom, had a completely contradictory point of view. So Sarah said over on her Facebook, she said, we visited the stunning Eileen Donan Castle and were so disappointed to see how much of a tourist trap it's turned into. This beautiful historic site was one of our highlights of our trip in 2020, but wow, it's changed. In 2020, we turned up, pulled into a gravel car park and took a lovely stroll across the bridge and around the castle. Not a massive car park. Now a massive car park has been built. £3 parking. It's not bad, but there's a massive visitor centre being built, charging £12 per person to go to the castle for £3.50 to just walk over the bridge. Shops, restaurants, ice cream parlour, etc. As a family of 8, this could easily turn into £100 to visit somewhere we did for free in 2020. It's not like a big day out either, just a quick stop on this beautiful route, so it's a bit disappointing to see that such a beautiful historic site has turned into a big moneymaker. We've found that a lot of this trip too, places that were free in 2020 are now charging £10 to park. Maybe it's because it's so much busier now, who knows? But it's definitely a lot different. Still, I enjoyed my first time brew here. Brew, is that made from tea? Anyway, right, so, quick pointer, yet again, Sarah Ingham expecting everything for free, obviously. Why would you pay for anything in life? Also, saying that as a family of 8, it would cost X amount of money. Well, you chose to have X amount of children, right? You must have known that at some point that days out would amount to X amount of pounds, right? You must have known that, otherwise you wouldn't have had the kids. Am I right? Or did you not think about things like that before you had the children? No? Okay then. Someone quite rightly replied, probably due to the huge costs incurred in the upkeep of old buildings like this. Sarah, though, instead of admitting that she was maybe wrong or got it wrong or just realizing that it might be a little bit more in depth than what she had, she just said, yeah, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but maybe. It could be. You could be right, but I'm not admitting that. I'm not admitting as such. Fuck that. No, absolutely not. She won't admit that. Anyway, somebody did come back with a fuller and proper response to her, because bloody hell. This person said, it's not just a money-making scheme, because that's what Sarah was making it out to be. You know, they're trying to make money off the tourists and everything. The more people come to these sites, and a lot of people disrespect our country and historic buildings. So of course they need to make money to preserve these buildings. It's now a tourist destination, so why shouldn't we charge people a small fee to visit, for people who want to visit? And see, Sarah can't turn this around, right, and say, yeah, but, because she's one of those tourists. She would be acting like she is the one that is being wronged here, you know. She would like to go there, visit, and it costs them nothing, because they're you know, they're seasoned Scottish, like, resident. In fact, they are landowners in Scotland. They should get that for free. Absolutely. Bloody hell, they should get it for free. But they are what part of the problem, right? Because there's more tourists that go there, so they need to charge money. So Sarah can't turn around and say, yeah, but, you know, tourists shouldn't go there, because they are one of the tourists that go there. But on the other hand, you've got Chris saying, yeah, but, you know, the more people go there, the more jobs there are. But then you've got Sarah saying, yeah, but you shouldn't be creating jobs out of tourism, because, you know, it should be free. Now, if it was free, Sarah, then you wouldn't have the jobs that Chris claims that you're making for them, right? You understand? Anyway, that was just a little contradiction, because they're full of contradictions in their life. I love covering them. You know, they are smart, intelligent people that, you know, people should talk about. And if it wasn't for us talking about them, then they wouldn't have a platform to express their opinions to the random strangers online. So anyway, let's see what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you agree with Chris? Do you agree with Sarah? Do you agree that they are both morons? Either way, let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, have an amazing day, take care of yourselves, and bye bye.